Move to the bass and I move to the drum. Move to the bass and I 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 move to the.
What's going on, guys? Jason Euler back here with another episode of the Launchpad. Today, I am very, very excited for our guest. And excited to introduce you to any of those who may not know him, but I'd be surprised if you don't. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Henry Fong.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Henry, I'm doing very well. Like I said, we're excited to have you. How things been holding up? How's your life going these days?
Oh man, it's just I feel like everything changes so fast, week to week, month to month. Now you just really kind of keeping you on your toes, you know.
Always, every artist or just anyone in this space, because you have your music industry projects, which are like spinning a bunch of plates, and then you have all your personal life and personal projects on the side as well too.
Yeah, definitely a lot of big changes amongst like all of those at once. So you're kind of just like figuring it out week by week, man.
Yeah. Any consistency to your workflow there? How do you stay on top of juggling all the things you take on day to day as an artist? You got branding, music.
Well, I think I just have I kind of treat it like a 9-to-5 job a little bit. So I wake up Monday morning and I literally go to the studio I start driving to the studio. I live in Tarzana and my studio is in Studio City. And my friend, I have in my friend's house here. And I just go to the studio, get there like 9 in the morning.
You're an early morning producer. Most of the guys I get on here, they're all the night owls producing at 3 in the morning. I think you're one of the first we've had that I've heard say like,
really?
Up in the morning to get and go.
Well, let me explain, I guess. I wake up and I trade first thing in the morning. So I'm up before the market opens. I usually wake up around 6 o'clock. I'll start doing like pre-market research on like stock tickers, crypto, whatever. And then I usually trade for about 2 hours while I eat breakfast. I'll eat breakfast, trade and stuff. Yeah. And then after a couple hours, I kind of set up my positions and stuff. And then I drive to the studio. And that's kind of why I'm an early riser, I guess.
I love that. I love the structure. Again, like I talk to a lot of producers who are just like very sporadic in their times of creativity and flow. And, my background and, working on more the business side of the music, my schedule is very structured like that too. I'm an early riser as well. Same thing in the market, gym, off to the races.
You got to have a schedule, man. It just kind of keeps you sane.
Have you always had that, or is it something you really developed as you grew as an artist, or in the earlier days of your career where you just kind of?
I think the early riser thing, it kind of came from surfing. I was like I've been like a huge surfer my entire life. Like long before music, before I started touring, I was actually kind of touring the world surfing, just on trips and stuff. Like me and my college buddies.
Like competition wise or anything in that realm?
Like very like amateur, college level. Like I was on the college surfing team, but I was like what's it called? I was like an alternate on the B team.
I wasn't you were in Florida. What university were you at then?
I went to University of Central Florida.
Okay, yeah, UCF, very cool.
I was also involved in Greek life there and stuff too. Okay. But yeah, I just started waking up really early to go surfing all the time. Ever since I actually fishing too. I used to be really big into fishing. And
so you're one with Mother Ocean out there,
dude. I'm from Florida. We grew up, and that's all there really was to do. I'm from like this small town called Jupiter, Florida.
Okay, I'm very familiar. I used to be in the baseball world and a lot of spring training.
Okay, cool.
I was a former athlete, so that's where my college experience was at.
Dude, yeah, they had all the baseball spring training right there.
Yep.
Literally, right. I live. The fields are called right there in this complex called Abacoa.
I've been down there and played at them all growing up. Your surfing was my baseball, and then looks like we both somehow stumbled into music.
Dude, that's crazy, man. But yeah, it's such a cool little small town there. But there's really not much to do besides go surfing and go fishing. So growing up, that's kind of what we did. We're just on boats, going fishing. Waking up early all the time. Like if the crazy thing is fishing and surfing, if you don't wake up early, you're going to miss it. You're going to blow it.
Hey, same thing with the stock market and crypto.
Same thing with the stock market. You got to wake up early.
If you're not waking up early and fishing, Eric Thomas always says, one of my favorite motivational speakers. He goes, if you wake up at 8 a.m. on the East Coast, on the West Coast, he's like, they've already been going in the stock market since 5 a.m. Somebody's making decisions for your life already.
Dude, that's what I hate about being on the West Coast. You have to wake up at 6:30 here.
Oh yeah, it's
brutal.
Up and at 'em. So
yeah,
that's where I'm over here in Arizona, so very much the same.
You wake up to like getting bombarded with emails. Like you wake up and your inbox is already full from like the rest
That's
of
why
the
you got
world.
to be up early. You get that time in the morning to yourself when other people are still sleeping, and you can just be so productive with no distractions. And again, that's why that really stood out to me that you said you're doing that with music too. So I love that. Kind of touching more on Jupiter, Florida. Like, how did you come in? Did you find your musical inspiration growing up in Jupiter, Florida? Was that something that you developed as you went to college? When did that really start?
I started burning CDs for school, and I like built this like computer before like people were like really like burning CDs and stuff, and I like installed this like drive on my computer, and I had like Napster and like LimeWire and all that shit.
Oh yeah, LimeWire. I think I took down a few of my parents' computers with LimeWire.
Oh yeah, dude.
Times.
So then I was like making these like mixtapes, like custom mixtape things for kids at school.
Okay.
And then
just like the music direction on these mixtapes, what genre?
Oh, it was just like whatever kids were listening to back in early 2000s. So it's just like hip hop. You know, it's probably like, I don't know, maybe like Yin Yang Twins or
say
Newfound Glory or something. I don't know.
Salt Shaker used to go off at the school dances back in the day. I remember that.
Yeah. What else would we have listened to back then? Like Nelly.
Yeah, Nelly had a big one. I think Lil Wayne was more towards the late end of the 2000s in the hip hop world. Gucci was really big around that time.
And then of course the good stuff, you know, Tupac, Biggie, stuff like that.
The OGs, man, you can't beat any of that.
Yeah. But I was just making shit like that. And then I was like going to some of the parties and stuff. And I was just like, the music dude kind of at some of the parties.
And when did that influence of dance? Obviously you're talking hip hop there. When did that influence of dance music start to come into your life?
Man, I strategically remember the kind of era, and one was this like I used to be really into like street racing and like cars too.
Okay.
So I'd watch these like Japanese like drifting videos.
Tokyo Drift, man.
Before YouTube, I forget what site we were watching them on. Like I don't even think YouTube existed then. I was probably like, dude, this is a while ago.
Like E-Bombs World and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like way
It was like E-Bombs World.
Some of the viewers here might not even know that reference.
And they had like crazy trance music on all these like Japanese drifting videos. And I heard this song called Castles in the Sky by Ian Van Dahl. I don't know if Castles in the Sky, it's like absolute classic in that genre.
Yeah, of course.
And so I heard that song and I was just like, oh man, I love this shit. And then I got into kind of that trancey stuff.
Trance that pulled you in.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that. And then it went from there. And then
who was the artist that like you discovered, right? Like, okay, hey, there's this new sound. I like this. Was there an artist that came next that you saw and like, oh, this is some next level music. These guys are really, there's something here.
I think, and then from there, it kind of became more of like the commercial dance hits of that time. Like, you know, like Alice DJ, Better Off Alone, and just that whole era of stuff. Yeah. And then, I think it was kind of that sound though. And then from there, I kind of phased out, and then I went back into like listening to hip hop, and then I went to this huge, just like reggae phase where all I did was just listening to reggae, and I was like traveling around with my friends. We were going to all these shows.
I love it. Anyone in the reggae space you saw that you know that you still follow or just really love their music? We do a couple reggae fests out here in Arizona at Relentless Beats.
I mean, I'm fans of just everyone. Especially I got really into like the American reggae sound, you know, like Slightly Stupid, Revolution, Pepper, that whole thing.
Pepper is one of my favorites. Those guys put on the show. That's awesome.
Okay, that's cool. You guys have that scene out there, man.
Yeah. Arizona's really up and coming on it, you know. We had Revolution, Sublime with Rome, Pepper. So we've had some names out here. We're still kind of growing that in the Arizona scene here, which is great though.
And then I've seen like Steel Pulse a couple times too, like the OGs, you know.
I love it. So you find this mainstream sound kind of, you know, when was the time you started hearing this mainstream EDM that started kind of pulling you back in?
Okay, so that, and then I got in college, and then after I was kind of like going through this like huge like reggae phase, I was like, a couple of my friends, they started working. This was about 2008, so this was like pretty early, and they kind of like got really into like the hipster scene, I guess you could call it.
Okay.
And they were like bartenders and bar backing, like my fraternity brothers.
Yeah.
They were like bartenders at like these underground kind of clubs, and they're like, dude, they were like, you guys got to hear this music they're playing in there. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like electro or something.
Yeah, because all the 100 subgenres hadn't been properly classified at that point yet.
It wasn't even EDM yet, right?
Yeah, right. It's electric stuff.
It was just like electro, whatever. There was like, it was like you know, Mastercraft, Justice, that whole
love it
thing. So they would bring home these like CDs. My fraternity brothers, they'd bring home these CDs of whatever DJ was playing, and the club had recorded it. And I was just like popping my computer a couple times.
Yeah.
And one of the first DJs they had go there, it was like super, super early. And man, you got to give credit to how early he was a pioneer in the scene, was Steve Aoki.
Oh yeah.
So I started getting into that really like kind of blog house electro sound through like Justice, Mastercraft, obviously Daft Punk.
Of course.
And then my friends were always like, yo, you got to listen to this guy, Steve Aoki. He just played a show. And I think that was the disc that they brought home one night, was his set recorded or something.
Wow.
And I popped it in, and it was just like, I was like, oh, this is so fun, man.
Yeah. It's a whole new style. It's a whole new direction. It's a whole new opportunity here.
And then my sister was like super really good tastemaker in music. Okay. And she was like going to like Daft Punk shows. This was like, I think she's seen them live.
So you had some help from the family too, coming in saying, hey, these are the sounds that are really playing right now. And
yeah, so then I started really listening to I really love Justice though. That was kind of like my
that's the one that really pulled you in. I love that.
And then it went from like electro pop, and then a little more clubby. It started going a little more clubby from 2008 to 2010. And that's where I just got really sucked in, man, because I would go to these like club shows. They weren't even raves, really. They were just
all in Florida here still, pretty much.
All in Florida, dude. And it was these super underground, like blog house electro things. Like they had a couple parties like popping up all over the US. I think the first one was, I believe, in San Francisco had one.
Okay.
And then obviously Dim Mak Tuesdays was huge. Dim Mak Tuesdays was a huge
crazy. Dim Mak and everything they've grown to as well, just on their side.
Absolutely, man. So they had been doing this music for a long time, man. That kind of like electro sound, you know. And so I got really sucked into that, man. I was going to these parties, and I was just like, this music is so much fun. Like, you go in these dark clubs, there wasn't any production, the sound was shit, and everybody was just like, the entire place was just dancing, man. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
The music was like silly, dude. Back in the day, it was like really goofy.
That like purity and wholesomeness of just where everything blossomed from is so crazy. And then just to see it catch this mainstream wave and evolve as it has, you know, and there's still those fighters out there that I see in every local market, you know, wherever I go, they're still kind of pushing that underground scene. You know, it's still there in a lot of ways, you know, and it's still cool to see some of these even younger kids keep kind of pushing it themselves, you know, because I think that's just such a core aspect of the culture as a whole, is keeping that part alive. Dude,
you have to, man. And that's kind of shout out to everybody that keeps pushing those like like less popular
I tell any artist I work with, I'm like, if you haven't played a couple underground shows or a warehouse, like I can't work with you. You know, I don't care how young you are. You need to go, you know, pay homage and pay some respect here.
Dude, absolutely, man.
So all that happens, and then you're okay. Then the light bulb hits, and it's all right. I can make this. I could do this.
Yeah, I was just like, I just love the scene, and I just love the positivity, and everybody was just in these clubs, and everybody was just dancing to this.
Yeah.
Blog house electro
music. The history of curating music, you know, putting stuff together, and really coming up with that. So obviously the next logical step is to go learn a ridiculously hard skill, pursue a ridiculously hard industry with a low chance of success, and just go for it, right?
Yeah, I guess, man. I was like, I like this music a lot. I want to play it. And then, so I was like, okay, well, I need to learn how to DJ. And I actually, let's rewind, because I forgot to mention that I had, during that time where I was like in middle school making that like mixtape stuff, I'd actually bought turntables.
Okay.
And I had like really terrible like Gemini turntables, and I had all these hip hop vinyls. I had like Dr. Dre, Nas, everything.
Cool.
And I wanted to be a turntablist. Yeah. But I like lived in Jupiter, Florida, and it's just like
the culture and atmosphere down there. Yeah, probably not the best.
Everyone's like trying to go catch like fish on boats and stuff, like not trying to DJ. So I hung up the towel real quick on that, because I just feel like I couldn't find a really good mentor, or like there weren't any like less. I couldn't. There was no YouTube. I couldn't learn.
If you had, how different your life might have been.
Oh Jesus, man.
You've really gone down that route.
I really wanted to be a battle DJ, like DMC.
I love during that time, yeah.
So then I went back home, and I picked up my turntables that I still had in the garage from middle school, brought them back up to college. And then my friend Nims showed me how to DJ. And
shout out Nims, good job.
Yeah.
That guy.
And then, too. Yeah, dude. And then me and Nims, we actually ended up, me, Nims, and another buddy, Nick, we ended up making a night. And so we formed a promotion company. And we're like,
yo, the grassroots stuff of how it always goes.
We're like, yo, whatever music they're playing in this club in like 2008, 2009, we're like, this shit is so much fun. I was like, we have to do a party like this. And I was more involved on campus at the college, and that music scene was a different scene. That was more like a hipster, independent kind of crowd.
Really?
So I was like,
college level there,
dude. And so I was like, how do I bring this to the college?
Yeah.
Because I'm involved on campus, and I was in a fraternity and everything. I know these people. I was like, oh, dude, we can make this thing so much fun for everybody. We had just so little expectations. Like, it was never, ever, we're never like, oh, we're going to make money from this. We're like,
I tell anyone that goes into being an event promoter, you're going in the mindset you're going to make money, you're going to hit the rudest awakening. Cause I got my start off, I ran party buses, and then I started throwing shows off that. But I started filling party buses to Relentless Beats festivals before I eventually got hired.
Dude, same. I was doing party buses too.
So dude, grassroots. Like, I was paying like $500 on a bus trying to get like 60 people on that thing, and that led to shows, that led to club takeovers and block parties from there. But I never went into it making money. I'm like, yo, we should just party on the way to the festival. It makes way more sense. It's cheaper than Uber, so.
It's like also too, if you understand those economics at the smallest level of events and nightlife, and once you understand those economics at that level, those like kind of skills like help you pave the rest of the way.
It created everything, and at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is you learned how to network and really get your name out there at a very early point in your career.
Dude, absolutely.
I think that's just so important. It's just really, at the end of the day, it comes down to who we can collaborate with and work with. The people that, connect most of the dots there end up doing really well. Well, I love that. So Grassroots started a nightclub. You guys start building the night. When did you get into the production side of things?
It wasn't for a while. I remember we were still promoting this like night, and we were just playing like, it was like electro, I guess you could call it at the time, like blog house electro, whatever you want to call it. And dude, the night just like, it was so slow to start. It was just our friends, maybe 50 people would come, but like we could literally play whatever the hell we wanted. Like zero mainstream music, like literally whatever we wanted, and everybody was just dancing the whole time. And then dude, and then word just kind of caught on, and then dude, the night just like exploded, and it was sold out. It was just sold out every week, and we're just like no name local DJs just playing whatever the hell we wanted, and we're just like, yo, this is awesome, dude. And then from there, that's how the music production kind of came in, because we were like, had this audience in front of us every week of just.
So how do we take it to the next level? What's the next thing we can progress ourselves with?
Yeah. So I linked up with like all my friends there. Like I was more on like the pulling people into the night rather than actually being a good DJ kind of person.
Hey, so you gotta start somewhere.
So then I linked up with a couple of buddies in Orlando. You may have heard of them, Dallas K, Kilogram, and Nims they were in the trap duo Milo Notice.
Okay.
And then so we all kind of linked up together, and I just learned music production from them.
I love it. What software did you start on at that time?
It was like, was it Ableton 7?
I mean,
we're on Ableton 11 now, so
yeah. As we say, things have advanced a little bit. And there's a few.
Yeah, I think it was like Ableton 7 or 8. I think it was 7, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I just learned because they were all using Ableton. I was like, oh, I guess that's what you use, whatever. Yeah, so I just downloaded it, and then we would just fuck around and just make edits and remixes, and then we would just go play them at our night.
Of course.
Our night was called Riot, by the way, and so it kind of just was like. It was really like sweaty, intense, just like
it was. It had that old school come up feel to it in that era.
It kind of had a little bit of an underground feel to it. And then so we would just play the edits and remixes every week, and that's kind of how I got into production.
I love that. That's awesome. Going from a grassroots night, discovering production, and really pushing yourself as an artist. Going back, what's a piece of advice you'd go back and give to yourself at kind of that younger age as you were starting, as you were getting going, that you think could have made a really big difference? Obviously you've had a great successful career, but what are some things that, you obviously probably had to learn the hard way at a couple times,
Yeah. So I think with good advice to myself, I think I like how almost how naive I was that I thought I could do that. And I went back, I wouldn't change anything of that, because I feel like a lot of like, you have to almost be so silly that you think you can do it. Does that make any sense?
I could not agree with you more, because again, I started running party buses to the festival of the company I now work for. I gave up my own company in 2019 and went full time to work for the festival. When I was competing as they're a 20-year company, I'm a 25-year-old kid scraping some nickels and dimes together off party buses and small shows. And it was tough to compete in the market and throw shows while there's this big giant here.
Absolutely is, dude.
And I was so new to dance music at the time that I was naive enough to think like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'll just do something different, or I'll be unique, or, if I'm underestimated, that's my advantage. And, being the smaller, littler guy, you can always pivot quicker, so me being naive was one of my biggest advantages, because then it eliminates the factor of fear. You're so naive.
You're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, you're not even thinking about fear. You're just thinking of the possibility. Yeah, you're just thinking like, you're like, dang, the potential here is like this. And, I think so many people talk themselves out of going for something before they even get to that point, because they're just thinking, well, this could go wrong or this, instead of thinking, well, what if it goes right? Or what if that works out? So kind of having that child's like naiveness to it, I think is like so essential in pursuing anything really difficult. You got to have,
like, you have no kind of like you have minimal responsibilities when you're in, when you're like early 20s.
Yeah. I just tweeted that out the other day. I said, it's the best time to go take risks. Go start.
You have to, dude. You have to.
Because, you'll have time in your late 20s and early 30s to go back and make up for those mistakes. But, I probably, you can say it too, I failed more times than I succeeded in my early time. But, you have the things that hit and they set you up with just a little bit of confidence to keep going, then one more little thing happens and you kind of keep grabbing onto it. So,
but the thing I would have changed, actually looking back, it was more to do with, I think, that the style of music that I started making and became known for at that time. And I think that's an issue with a lot of artists, but like going back, like, I just feel like my production and what I wanted to do as an artist wasn't right for the time that I started getting my name out there. And the stuff I was making, it was just the first music I was just fucking around making. And I'm just
it's so hard at that age too. That's like telling an 18-year-old to go to college and pick the degree and job that they're going to do for the rest of their life. And they haven't even discovered themselves as a person yet, or really understood their likes and dislikes and evolved. So like, I see the same thing happen with so many young musicians that, they start making one sound, and then, we're humans, we adapt, we evolve, we change over time. When was it that you really felt like, you came in like, okay, this is the sound I really want to go down the direction? Obviously, I know you've been in a number of realms, but yeah, so we had that early time, wasn't quite, you liked it, it was cool then, but when did you start making that sound? You're like, okay, this is what's going to make the rocket ship go?
It was like I was making electro, and then it kind of went from electro to like kind of big room sound, and then
along with the times though, and that's
exactly, dude. And then the big room sound kind of ended up, catching pretty big for me.
I wish that time would come. I wish that time would come back so bad.
Man, it's such a weird time.
This music needs it just one more time. That happy, feelsy, just euphoric. They need it back. I'm hoping Big Room makes a comeback in the next 5 years here.
What's crazy, it was just so like, the music was like, it's very simple, but it just works so good in a big live setting.
Yeah.
And I just was really drawn to the crowd reactions from the music a little bit. As a DJ, I'm like, I wasn't really too concerned with anything else, but just like, let me just make something that just like goes off on the dance floor. And that's kind of
evoke that reaction, that emotion.
Yeah. And so I just kind of like took it upon myself to just like, all right, let me reverse engineer like how to make stuff that just works really good on the dance floor. And that just became part of my thing. I'm like, whatever genre I make, whatever I do, I'm like, dude, it just has to work on the dance floor. Otherwise it's not for me.
I love that. And at the end of the day, that's what the people are there to do. That's what you're there to bring out of them. And, that's your job, curating this vibe and, preparing these sets and delivering this original music to the audience, obviously. How's that feel as an artist, just to have that, that track you work on and just to watch that reaction and get that feeling of seeing what you're doing for others?
Oh, dude, that's why I started doing it, man. It's just like, you just make music and you play it out and you just see people dance and you're like, it's pretty simple, you're like, oh, That's all. That's at the end of the day, that was like the only expectation I ever had, was just to be able to make music that people could dance to.
Yeah.
And that was it. There wasn't anything about, you know, oh, I'm going to do this for a career, or I'm going to make a lot of money doing this, or whatever it is. It's just like, simply put, it was like, that was it.
I love it. Talk us about that first time you hit that moment on stage. You know, there's got to be a moment of surrealism, honestly, at some of these events, and just seeing these things you see from that perspective. And obviously only a handful of people get to do it. Is there a moment from any event you've played, festival, whatever it might be, where you just had that moment, you're something like, wow, I thought about this one day, and this is it. This is what I thought about, and now it's happening.
Yeah, I think that was basically my entire 2014 year.
Okay.
2013 was when stuff started really happening for me. I started getting some like records signed with Bingo Player's label, Hysteria, and then with Hardwell's label, Revealed. And then the records that I was putting out there kind of propelled me into like getting signed to agent and manager, everything.
Of course.
And then my 2014, bro, was just like, that was the craziest year probably my life, dude. It's just like when you're first thrown into it at first.
Yeah, there's no way to teach someone how to handle that either. You just kind of have to figure it out.
Dude, it was just festival after festival after festival after festival, just like, but like all of them in a row, and it just like touring 5 days a week, 4 days a week, minimum, every weekend, gone the entire year.
Yeah.
Not every weekend, from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, and sometimes those stops, you don't even have time to check out where you're at. You're kind of there, on to the next. So
that was kind of that feeling, I think, happened that year when I was like, you know, I was playing like, whether it was like Ultra or I think one of them too was like one of the big ones I remember playing. I remember I played this LED festival, you know, those guys in San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the crowd at LED, like those guys do such a good job, and it's in that giant arena. And I remember that was one of the first ones I think I played. And I was just like, holy shit, this is crazy, man.
I love it. Well, I always love hearing those stories and kind of just getting those moments, because it's so important. You know, you work for so dang long. You have to, you know, it's great to stop and admire for a second, but then put your head back down and get back to work, you know, because you got to move on to the next thing. But
because I had been grinding these local events, man, and we didn't really get into too, outside of just that one event I had. So I had that one event that I did with my friends. We co-promoted it together. Yeah. We DJ'd it. Then I was doing other DJ gigs on the side too. So I was DJing at college bars, like playing open format. Okay. I was, you know, I was playing in like more, maybe some lounges and stuff, just playing just like background commercial dance music. Yeah. And so I was doing that 3 or 4 days, three or four nights a week for years, dude.
Love that.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was just DJing normal gigs every week. So then by the time you do that for years and then you get to 2014, it's just like, whew, it's finally here, man.
All worth it. Yeah. All those late nights and having to go, you know, I hear that. I worked a 9-to-5 job while I ran my first event company, and we'd have events on a Thursday night that get done at 3 a.m. and I gotta be at work the next morning early. And
so you were doing events and you had a job.
I ran a 9-to-5 when I ran the Party Bus company. I worked full-time corporate America, and then
Jesus, man, hustle.
I gave up my company in 2019 and got acquired by Relentless and went to work there afterwards. So I feel that, man. It's, you know, the biggest thing is I think young producers, they think they're going to have this just one big moment, or it's going to be this big song and every happen, when at the end of the day, it's always the culmination of just doing the little thing each day, making that difficult decision to push just a little harder each day or move the needle a little further. And, you know, when those things compound and add up, just like anything in life, that's where you really get to reap the benefit. You know, and I love that for you, because your story really is that methodical, paced, you know, just persistence and just chipping away at it. I think, you know, a lot of the up and coming kids kind of lose that these days, because these kids just see these social media, everything's just instant gratification, you know, like, hey, I'm one thing away. Like, no, you're these things away, you know, but you just got to enjoy the process of doing it every day.
Dude, that's true. It is a very like momentum kind of snowball game, and you got to just do these little things. But back then we didn't even have social media, bro. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have any of that shit.
No, none of
so
that.
The only metric we ever had to go off of was like, okay, how many people came to our night last week, and how many people are coming this week?
Yeah.
And our way of just keeping that momentum was just like, all right, what can we do to make more people come to this event?
Yeah.
Or how can we make the event better?
Yeah.
And that was it. And so every week we just, after Wednesday, we just were like, okay, what are we doing for the next week?
And you guys kept that focus of helping give value to someone else, which was the people coming to those events. You know, that's the other thing that's the real secret in this game is when you think of how you can be valuable to others or how you can create something better for someone else, you know, odds are the reward is going to come back to you at some point in time, as long as that's not the focus. You know, the focus, if it's just helping out and, you know, creating more value for others, that's where you end up receiving the reward in the long run. You know,
yeah, so. Man. But it's crazy though. You're right though, about just like people don't see a lot of the little stuff that's happened.
Yeah, it's never that one big thing, you know. It might have been just, you know, being in the studio one day when that idea hit because you decided to stick it out an extra 30 minutes, or, you know, pushing yourself to do that extra gig a week, or to have a late night, or, you know, even play an empty room just to get going, you know. Like, everyone has to go through that, you know. You got to go through the mud crawl at the end of the day, as I always call it.
Absolutely, man.
But it makes the view a lot more sweeter when you do get to that stage, like you mentioned there. Cool. Kind of turning away from the DJ stuff. You're a really big guy into crypto in your personal life.
I don't know a big guy, but
I follow enough. I know you and another guy, Jacob, there on the new management team, dabbling a bit. Talk to us a little bit about that. What's got you so interested in blockchain? What kind of drew your attention to it? When did you start really paying attention?
I got involved, I think, around 2016, 17.
Okay.
So I had been more, I'd been more of a trader, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like, not really a day trader, more of like a swing trader, but a little day trading. Long-term investor as well too. I'd been trading since about 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first started trading, I was in college, and I was trading after the financial crash.
Good
day, good
time.
Yeah, I remember like buying like Bank of America stock for like $3 and just like ridiculous stuff. Like, so that was my first intro into trading, was after the financial crash.
Yeah.
And it had all this like volatility, and the gains were really good.
Hey, it's better than the GameStop wildness going on this year.
So then once I found out about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and stuff, it was looking at it through the lens of a trader. You know what I mean? It doesn't, like, as a trader, you don't really care what the asset is. You're like, okay,
no, you see a chart, you're reading support,
exactly,
and
doesn't matter if it's potatoes, or doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin. You know, it's just like, is the chart set up good?
Yep.
You know, so that's kind of how I started looking at it. And then I remember I just bought some Bitcoin, and then we get to the end of 2017, and then all the altcoin craze started.
Yep.
And man, just stuff was going up like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000%. It was just
insane.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I just got sucked into that first go. And then, you know, and then the 2018 bear market hits in cryptos. And then that whole 2018, 2019, and sitting through that bear market, man, so many valuable trading lessons that I learned.
Lots of lessons in there.
So by the time we got to this bull market, I was like,
you're ready to go.
I was ready to go, man. I'm like, I know the mistakes I made the last cycle. Yeah. And so kind of, looking at things like a trader, that's just kind of more my, I guess, bread and butter, I think. But in terms of blockchain, I also, through the process of being a trader, I learned more about blockchain. And I just, you know, I'm just a full believer in and decentralization and blockchain as a whole. So,
and pulling this back to music, like, blockchain's coming into music.
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
Are you paying attention to that wave? Are you trying? I'm sure you're trying to be kind of an early adopter there and move, because it's really just hitting the music, but obviously it has a chance to revolutionize our industry drastically.
Oh, absolutely, man. I think for a lot of artists, especially in a year like the last year we've had, is just like an artist doing one NFT sale or something like that can that can offset, you know, months of having a bad year. If not an entire year in one sale.
Yeah, I mean, for the rate some of these NFTs
for some people,
absolutely.
So obviously there's that aspect to it, but not only that, it's just like, this is just, we're just at the tip of the iceberg on how this is going to be incorporated.
I think the technology's there, and, you know, it could potentially, I'll be surprised to see where labels are at in the next 5-10 years, if they're obsolete, or, you know, if they find a way to innovate and go, because realistically, an artist should be able to get paid a royalty on the spot through blockchain right now. So, if a song streams, like, the technology,
that's where my head's really been at for this whole thing. I'm like, you know, smart contract technology exists, and we have the ability to instantaneously pay on streams.
Exactly. But now you're not sitting there chasing down a royalty payment.
Like, think about it. That's how it should be, right? So
absolutely.
Imagine every click in real-time data on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. That should be linked to a smart contract, and that should be instantaneously going into your artist wallet.
Yep, absolutely.
Like a mobile crypto wallet or something. It's like, that's, I think, where this is heading. And
it's really going to be interesting to see who the first guy to push that one through the wall is going to be. I know I'm following closely with Audius Project and, you know, a lot of the stuff they're doing. And, you know, obviously they're early in the space. You know, you think some of the major labels absolutely have to adopt this at some point with the attention and direction things are going.
Man, I love the Audius Project. Those guys, they did such a good job. I know Clayton over there. And bro, he's been telling me about it since like 2018, man.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about Audius is they were just able to get a lot of really big early adopters on. And even in terms of, let's break apart every other crypto project too, Audius has millions of actual users.
Yes.
So from a use case perspective, Audius is actually doing a really good job of implementing this technology into a real life use case.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of,
and there's a community being built around the project too, you know, and I think like,
exactly,
you know, people are going in there, not just like, yes, they're going to support the music and follow the artists they like, but they're also supporting this project and this company that's, you know, really kind of paving the way for these things. So it creates a really unique and potentially really powerful user base for artists and for, you know, the group over there themselves.
I think this is what artists have been waiting for. Like, you know, I'm just hoping like when they roll out the actual like royalty payout thing, I'm just hoping that's going to work so awesome. There's going to be no reason.
There's going to be some hurdles and hoops for sure, but you know, I think it's just an inevitable sense that's coming. You know, so it really is like an exciting time. And I think you probably even saw it over the last year. You know, my big thing is like, I'm glad we haven't talked about COVID today, and I'm not going to really touch into it, you know, because we're moving on and we're going through the world. But you know, I think the thing that, you know, over the last year is the way marketing has gone and the way music is changing. Like there just was a monumental shift in how I think artist projects are going to be run, you know, moving forward over the next few years here. Dude,
I agree. It's a little more just like, I mean, any business in general is just kind of cutting the middleman out, you know?
Yep.
And if you read in the Bitcoin white paper, Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer, you know, transaction.
That was the original goal. That's the original goal of it. And, you know, I think that decentralization, that's what scares all the big middlemen out there that are currently controlling so much.
Every single successful company, you know, the last, you know, 10 years has basically been able to cut out the middleman in one way, shape or form, you know?
Yeah.
So
going to be a wild time to see what we have coming up here. Well, God, we've been going for a while. Henry, I do want to touch, on a couple more things before we let you go here. I always like to touch on a sense of gratitude, and I would love to hear what you're looking forward to coming up. So what are you looking forward to coming up right now with the project? What are you looking to that's ahead?
I'm just really excited to get this music out. You know, I've taken it, I hit it really hard last year.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the kind of artist that was going to be streaming every day and doing that sort of thing. So my way of getting through the last year was just through my releases.
Yeah.
So a lot of artists kind of took the approach of, hey, you know, maybe I'm not going to put this music out, but instead I was like, dude, I put out song in April 2020, May 2020. I was just like firing away my tunes, and I was like, look, if this is how I'm going to get through this next year, it's going to be through just putting out music, and I'll just let that kind of do the talking.
I love that on you, keeping it on the foundation, because I can't tell you how many artists I watched go through burnout on the streams and what it seemed like. And even with my management roster, you know, I told the guys, I'm like, go lock yourself in the studio. Like, you know,
dude, okay. So let's get to that.
Yeah.
This is what my first manager told me. He's like, dude, the music is the product, and that's just always the first and foremost priority. So you can do TikTok all day. You can get 1 million followers. You can be streaming all day and stuff. But at the end of the day, the music is the core product that really has that long lasting connection with people. And that needs to have
young producers take some notes right there. That's just wisdom right there. And I could not agree more with you. You know, everyone tries to build the framework of these projects without having a foundation. That foundation is always music. And if you don't have that strong foundation that's just going to hold your project through, you know, that framework is going to collapse on you eventually. You know, exactly. Everyone wants to grow every other way instead of just making the music and keeping it focused on that.
People like nowadays too, a lot of time is now shifted away from that to do other things like streaming and social media.
Of course.
And I feel like, you know, let's say before it was 80% music and 20% marketing, branding stuff. Yeah. Now, like the tables kind of shifted to like a 50-50 thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's why you have these villages running the marketing and branding stuff behind these artists.
Yeah.
You know? So
because it's all equally important at the end of the day now.
It is. It's a balanced approach you have to have, you know, and you
Yeah.
got to figure out both. But, you know, I always keep that music in the forefront. Like at the end of the day, that's what's going to win.
So I'm just looking forward to the next year to keep focusing on that. I got in
and
terms
getting
of
to getting to rinse all this music out in front of a crowd that you've been putting out for the last
dude, yeah, man. That's the big thing. I have like a lot of just like really hard festival just bangers, I guess.
It's gonna feel good to hear off those sound systems too for that first time as well.
Yeah, so I've just been just trying to innovate my sound the best I can and just keep pushing, keep just changing.
Yeah.
To like keep pushing it like club music and that kind of sound forward, but still keep the stuff that people know me for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, you got to hit that audience base that's just been there since day one supporters. But you know, I love that you're not faltering on pushing the boundaries, innovating new sound, and really seeing where you can take that. You know, we need more people like you in dance music continuously leading that charge, especially guys that are, you know, have a veteran resume and have been doing it as long as you have. So that's awesome. Last thing before I let you go, we like to practice gratitude here at Moon Landing. What are some things you're just grateful for in life right now? You know, just some things that you're really appreciating with where everything's at.
I'm just really grateful for the people around me. I got a lot of good friends that have helped me through the year.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, whether it's some of my DJ friends or family friends or whatever, it's just, man, having these people around, and all of us went through the kind of the same struggle the last year. And we sit in these, me and a lot of my DJ friends, man, we sit in these group chats and we're just strategizing like, yo, we got to make money at the end of the day. Like 100%. It kind of came down to survival for a lot of us. And then we all kind of got in these like kind of crypto and stock and business chats, and we were all just helping each other, man. We were giving trading tips.
You guys are all entrepreneurs at heart. So that makes sense, you know?
Exactly. We were making like new business ideas and stuff. But at the end of the day, man, I'm extremely lucky. I had a lot of good people around me, and we all just kind of helped each other through it. So
I love
grateful
that.
for that.
We were all in it together, you know, coming out of it, we're all in this together. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's the core of our community and, you know, foundation in the dance music world is we're all in it together.
It's community. Yeah, man.
It is. Well, Henry, thank you so much for joining us here on the Launchpad. It was a pleasure to have you on. Share with the guests.
Right on, man. Well, dude, great chat. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in here to the Launchpad. Plenty more episodes on the way. We'll be bringing a new one to you here every other week. Tune in. Thank you so much.